before I take the step, before I stand up there and say the words that change everything, there's something I need to acknowledge. None of this, not a single moment leading up to this point, happened in isolation. Life doesn't unfold in straight lines or perfect plans. It's shaped by people, by energy, by moments that redirect you when you least expect it. And I wouldn't be standing here today if it weren't for the people who believed in me long before I believed in myself. I've had the privilege of walking a path that's been full of lessons, failures, triumphs, and the kind of chaos that forces you to evolve. And when I look back, it's not the milestones or achievements that stand out. It's the faces, the voices, the laughter in between the noise. It's the parents who taught me that discipline and love are two sides of the same coin. It's the friends who stuck around when things got rough, when dreams looked more like delusions than plans. It's the mentors who didn't tell me what I wanted to hear, but what I needed to hear. Every one of them, in some way, built the foundation that allows me to take this next step. Gratitude is an interesting thing. It's not about saying thank you, because it's polite. It's about recognizing that no one truly makes it alone. Every success story has fingerprints all over it. People who invested their time, their faith, their love, and sometimes their patience. I think about the people who challenged me, who called me out when I was wrong, who reminded me that ego and love can't coexist. That's what real support looks like. It's not just cheering you on when you're winning. It's holding a mirror up when you're lost. There were moments when I thought I had it all figured out, and then life humbled me. And honestly, I'm grateful for that too. Because those moments of humility, when everything feels uncertain, are the ones that build character. They make you slow down and appreciate the people who keep showing up. It's easy to thank people when things go right, but real gratitude is remembering who stood beside you when things didn't. To my family, I owe everything. You gave me the kind of foundation that doesn't crumble when the world gets loud. You taught me the value of persistence, of pushing through even when no one understands what you're trying to do. You showed me that love isn't about comfort. It's about resilience, about showing up again and again. And to my friends, thank you for reminding me to laugh, for making sure I didn't lose my humanity chasing dreams. You balanced me when I leaned too far into work, when I forgot that life is meant to be lived, not just built. And to the person I'm about to marry, thank you for seeing me not just for what I do, but for who I am. You've stood beside me in the quiet moments when no one's watching, when doubt creeps in. You've reminded me that love isn't about finding someone who completes you. It's about finding someone who inspires you to keep becoming more of yourself. That's something extraordinary. This moment, standing here before marriage, feels like standing at the edge of a new frontier. It's both thrilling and humbling, because I know this journey isn't mine alone anymore. It's something we'll build together, something that will take everything we've learned from everyone who's come before us. And if there's one thing I've learned from life so far, it's that the people who believe in you are the real infrastructure of your success. They are the invisible network that makes every leap possible. So before I step into the next chapter, I just want to say this thank you. To everyone who's been part of this story, thank you for the late nights, the honest conversations, the forgiveness, the laughter, the patience. You've shaped the person I am today. And as I move forward, I carry that gratitude with me, not as a memory, but as fuel. Because every great journey begins with acknowledging where you came from and who helped you get there. And so before I get married, I just want to say, this moment isn't mine alone. It's ours. And for that, I'll be grateful for the rest of my life. When I think about marriage, I don't see it as just a ceremony or a social milestone. I see it as one of the most profound commitments a person can make. It's easy to get caught up in the excitement, the plans, the music, the celebration. But underneath all that, there's something much deeper. It's a promise. And not just a promise to another person, but a promise to yourself, to evolve, to listen, to stay when things get hard, to keep choosing love even when it's not convenient. For me, commitment has always been about understanding the weight of what you're agreeing to carry. Whether it's building something that matters, leading a team, or building a life with someone, the principle is the same. You can't walk into it lightly. The words, I do, may sound simple, but they're the closest thing we have to launching into the unknown. You can't predict where the journey will take you, but you commit to navigating it together, through chaos and calm, through uncertainty and growth. Love on its own is not enough. It's powerful, yes, but It's also fragile if it isn't anchored in discipline, understanding, and shared purpose. I've learned that promises aren't really about the good days. They're about what you choose to do on the hard ones. When you disagree, when you fail each other, when life pulls you in 100 different directions, that's when the weight of the promise shows its true shape. And that's when love transforms from emotion into intention. The truth is, no one really knows how to do this perfectly. There's no manual for marriage, no flawless model to follow. Every relationship is its own experiment, an evolving equation that requires constant recalibration. You make mistakes, you learn, you adapt. It's not about getting everything right. It's about being willing to keep working on it. That's what commitment looks like in reality, a willingness to repair, to forgive, to keep building even when the blueprint changes. And yes, it's daunting. Making a lifelong promise means accepting that there will be times when you're not the hero of the story, when you'll need to grow in ways you didn't anticipate. It means being vulnerable enough to say, I don't have all the answers, but I'm here. That's courage. That's strength. Because love isn't proven in words, it's proven in presence, in showing up, in choosing to stay connected, even when the easier option is to disconnect. When I think about the promise I'm making, I think about time. Not as something we pass through, but as something we invest in. Every conversation, every quiet evening, every disagreement resolved, it's all an investment. You're building something that can outlast temporary feelings, something that can weather unpredictability. Marriage isn't about perfection, it's about persistence. It's the decision to create stability in an unstable world, to find peace in partnership when everything else around you is in motion. And I think that's what gives it power. Because when two people commit, they're not just promising to love each other, they're promising to become better versions of themselves together. To grow, to challenge, to inspire, to keep dreaming, not just individually, but collectively. That's not just romance, that's evolution. There's a kind of gravity to that. The same way planets stay in orbit because of balance between pull and momentum, relationships survive through that same balance, between freedom and responsibility, between giving and receiving, between holding on and letting go. If one force overpowers the other, things fall apart. But when there's harmony, when there's awareness of the weight you both carry, you create something that can sustain itself through time. So as I prepare to make this promise, I don't take it lightly. I see it for what it is, a declaration of intent, a choice to build something that will require patience, courage, and a lot of humility. I'm not stepping into it because it's easy or because it looks perfect from the outside. I'm stepping into it because it's real. Because love, in its truest form, asks us to show up fully, imperfect, uncertain, but willing. And if there's one truth I hold on to, it's this: the weight of a promise doesn't weaken you. It grounds you. It gives purpose to the journey ahead. And before I get married, I need to say, I understand that weight, and I'm ready to carry it with everything I have. Before I can truly stand beside someone and say, we, I have to first be honest about I. That's something I've been thinking about a lot lately. Because the truth is, you can't build a strong partnership on half-built identities. You can't merge two lives successfully if one of them hasn't taken the time to understand who they really are. Love isn't about losing yourself in another person. It's about finding someone who encourages you to be your fullest self. For a long time, I thought strength meant pushing forward no matter what, working harder, thinking bigger, moving faster. And while that drive has shaped a lot of who I am, I've also learned that strength without self-awareness can become blindness. You start achieving things, but you forget to ask yourself why. You start building, but you lose touch with the foundation beneath you. At some point, I had to stop and confront the person behind all the momentum. Not the version people see, but the one that exists in quiet moments away from the spotlight and noise. Self-ownership means being honest about your strengths, but also your flaws. It means acknowledging the parts of yourself that are still under construction. It's uncomfortable, but it's necessary. Because the truth is, if you don't take responsibility for your own emotional landscape, you'll end up handing that responsibility to someone else. And that's not love, that's dependency. A healthy relationship isn't about two people completing each other. It's about two complete people choosing to walk forward together. I've learned that clarity doesn't come from the outside. It comes from reflection, from failure, from asking difficult questions and not running from the answers. What do I stand for? What do I want to create? What kind of energy do I bring into the room, into the relationship, into the future? These aren't easy questions, but they're the ones that prepare you for partnership. Because once you know yourself deeply, you stop expecting someone else to fill your voids. You start meeting them as an equal, not as a solution. And honestly, I think that's one of the most powerful things two people can give each other, the freedom to be whole. It takes maturity to understand that love doesn't erase individuality, it amplifies it. The best relationships are collaborations, not mergers. You don't blend identities until they're indistinguishable. You align visions, values, and rhythms while still maintaining your own core. That balance between unity and independence is what makes love sustainable. It's easy to romanticize the idea of us, but why it doesn't work if I is still lost? If I can't manage my own emotions, communicate honestly, or stay grounded in who I am, then I risk bringing confusion into something that should be sacred. So before I commit to sharing my life with someone, I've had to take a long, unfiltered look at myself. What do I still need to learn? What patterns do I need to let go of? What kind of partner do I want to be? Not just when things are good, but when they're not. There's something powerful about standing in your truth, even when it's imperfect. I've realized that vulnerability isn't weakness. It's clarity. When you know who you are, you stop trying to impress or pretend. You simply show up as yourself, and that authenticity creates space for real connection. Because when both people bring their true selves to the table, the relationship becomes less about performance and more about purpose. I want to enter marriage not as someone seeking completion, but as someone ready to contribute. I want to bring my whole self, my ambition, my flaws, my curiosity, my drive, and match it with someone else's energy, so that together we can build something that neither of us could create alone. That's the essence of partnership. Not losing individuality, but channeling it toward a shared horizon. So before I get married, I need to say this: I know who I am. I know what I value, what I believe in, and what I'm still learning. And because of that, I can step into this next chapter without fear of losing myself. Because the truth is, love doesn't require you to become someone else. It asks you to become the best version of yourself and bring that version forward, fully and fearlessly. And that's what I intend to do: own who I am completely, so that when I say we, it carries the full weight and authenticity of me. Love has this way of teaching you things that no book, no classroom, no achievement ever could. It doesn't always do it gently. Sometimes it teaches through joy, sometimes through heartbreak, sometimes through silence. But every lesson leaves an imprint that reshapes the way you see the world and yourself. I've learned that love isn't just an emotion, it's a form of energy. It can't be owned or controlled. It can only be shared, nurtured, and renewed through action. For a long time, I thought love was something that just happened, something spontaneous, electric, maybe even accidental. But with time, I realized that real love is deliberate. It's not just a spark, it's a choice you make every day. It's easy to love when things are going well, when life is smooth and expectations are met. The real test comes when things are uncertain, when communication fails, when patience wears thin. That's where love proves itself, not in the comfort, but in the chaos. Love has taught me humility, because no matter how intelligent, successful, or independent you are, love will expose your blind spots. It will show you where your pride gets in the way, where your fears live, where you still have growing to do. It will challenge you to listen when you'd rather be right, to apologize when you don't feel like it, and to forgive when every part of you wants to hold on to being hurt. Those moments aren't weaknesses, they're invitations to evolve, to open up, to become a better version of yourself. It's also taught me that love isn't about intensity, it's about consistency. Grand gestures are beautiful, but what really builds a relationship is the small, steady things, remembering to check in, showing appreciation, making time even when it's inconvenient. Those moments might seem ordinary, but over time, they create something extraordinary. Because love, at its core, is about showing up. It's about being present, even when it's difficult, even when you're tired, even when you don't have the perfect words. I've learned that love is less about possession and more about partnership. It's not about holding someone close out of fear of losing them. It's about giving them space to grow, knowing that freedom strengthens connection. The best kind of love doesn't clip your wings, it gives you a reason to fly higher. It's about supporting each other's dreams, even when they take you in different directions for a while, trusting that you're both still moving toward the same future. Love also demands courage. It asks you to be vulnerable in a world that often teaches you to armor up, to say, I need you, without feeling weak, to admit when you're scared, to love fully, knowing there's always risk. But that's the paradox. Love is both the greatest risk and the greatest reward. Every time you give your heart, you take that leap again, and even if it doesn't go the way you planned, you still grow from it. Because every act of love, every connection, leaves you more human than before. The most profound thing love has taught me is that it isn't about perfection. It's about persistence. No relationship is flawless. There will always be missteps, misunderstandings, moments when you disappoint each other. But love isn't measured by how few problems you have. It's measured by how you handle them. Do you rebuild after the storm? Do you keep choosing to care, to stay curious, to believe in the good? That's what makes love endure. The willingness to keep trying, to keep learning, to keep choosing each other. And through all of it, I've realized something powerful. Love isn't a destination. It's a process, a constant act of becoming. It's not about finding someone who completes you. It's about finding someone who challenges you to keep growing, to keep exploring what it means to care deeply and live fully. So, before I get married, I need to say this. Love has taught me that it's not a perfect fairy tale or a mathematical formula. It's an evolving journey that asks for honesty, patience, and courage. And I've learned that the beauty of love isn't in how it starts, but in how it continues. Because when two people choose to keep showing up for each other, again and again, through every season, that's where love becomes something extraordinary. When I think about the future, I don't just imagine a timeline filled with goals, milestones, or achievements. I imagine something deeper, a life built on shared purpose, growth, and understanding. The truth is the future's unpredictable. Plans change, dreams evolve. The world keeps moving faster than any of us can control. But amidst that uncertainty, what I hope to build in marriage is something steady, something that can bend without breaking, adapt without losing its core. My intention for the future is simple in principle but complex in practice, to create a partnership that thrives on curiosity, respect, and kindness. I don't expect perfection, I expect evolution. I want to wake up every day knowing that we're both still learning, not just about each other, but about the kind of world we can build together. Because real love isn't static, it grows with you, it challenges you, it forces you to see beyond yourself. I want a marriage that feels like a shared mission, not just an emotional connection. Something that blends purpose with passion. The same way a great team works toward a common goal, I want our relationship to be driven by the belief that we're building something meaningful, something bigger than either of us alone. That could mean raising children who think independently, creating a home that feels like a safe haven for others, or simply being the kind of couple that reminds people that love, when done with intention, still matters in this world. But I also know that the future won't always be smooth. There will be challenges, moments of doubt, frustration, exhaustion, and my hope is that we don't run from those moments, but face them with honesty and patience. Because every relationship will be tested. It's inevitable. What defines the future isn't how perfectly things go, but how we handle imperfection. I want us to choose understanding over ego, communication over silence, effort over comfort, to keep turning toward each other, even when it would be easier to turn away. Another thing I hope for is balance. The world glorifies speed, ambition, progress, and I understand that drive deeply. But I also believe the future of a strong relationship depends on slowing down enough to actually experience life together, to sit in the quiet, to enjoy the small things, to find peace in simply being. Because if we're always chasing the next thing, we risk losing sight of the present, and love lives in the present. I want to build a relationship where both of us can dream freely and fail safely. A space where ambition and vulnerability can coexist, where one person's success doesn't overshadow the others, but amplifies it. I want to keep growing as individuals and as partners, constantly learning from one another, pushing each other toward new ideas and deeper understanding. Love should never shrink who you are, it should expand you, and that's the kind of love I want to live. The future, as I see it, isn't about reaching some ideal version of happiness. It's about creating momentum in the right direction. There will be times when we'll stumble, times when we'll lose our rhythm. But as long as we're aligned in vision, as long as we keep moving forward together, we'll find our way. I hope our relationship becomes an example of what it means to embrace imperfection while striving for excellence, not through control, but through compassion. I also want to build a legacy, not in the sense of fame or achievement, but in the quiet influence of how we live and love. I want the people around us to feel the energy of our partnership, to see that love can be both grounded and daring, both gentle and resilient. I want our story to remind others that commitment isn't about giving up freedom. It's about choosing purpose. At the end of the day, my hope for the future isn't complicated. It's to love deeply, to live honestly, and to keep becoming better together. I don't know what life will throw at us, but I know what I'll bring into it: intention, integrity, and the unwavering belief that love is something worth building, protecting, and renewing every single day. So before I get married, I need to say this. The future I imagine isn't perfect, but it's ours to create, and my intention is to spend the rest of my life building it, piece by piece, with the one person who makes that future worth believing in. When I think about what it means to make a promise from the heart, I realize it's more than words spoken in a ceremony or vows written on paper. It's a declaration of intent, an agreement not just for the easy days, but for the uncertain ones. It's a commitment to show up fully and consistently, even when life gets messy, unpredictable, and difficult to navigate. Because love, in its truest form, isn't proven when everything is perfect. It's proven when things aren't. I've made a lot of commitments in my life, to ideas, to projects, to visions of the future that felt impossible. But this promise, this is different. This is the one that requires not just intellect or effort, but presence. It's not about building something for the world. It's about building something sacred, something deeply human, with one person who trusts you enough to share their life with you. That's not a small thing. That's one of the greatest responsibilities anyone can accept. I can't promise that every day will be extraordinary. I can't promise that I'll always have the right answer or say the right things. But I can promise that I'll keep trying, I'll keep listening. I'll keep choosing love even when it requires patience, humility, and forgiveness. Because love at its core is a daily decision, not an emotion that just happens to us, but an act of will. I promise to bring my full self into this relationship, not just the parts that are polished or easy to love, but the parts that are still learning, still flawed, still growing. I want to love honestly, without performance, without pretending. Because the truth is, real love doesn't need perfection. It needs authenticity. It thrives on honesty, vulnerability, and trust. And I know that if we can keep those things at the center, everything else will find its balance. I promise to protect the space between us, the space where communication, respect, and laughter live. I want to make sure that space is never filled with silence or resentment, that we keep it alive with curiosity, with kindness, with the courage to talk even when it's uncomfortable. Because that's where connection grows, not in avoiding conflict, but in facing it with compassion. I promise to keep seeing you, really seeing you, as the person you are and the person you're becoming. We're both going to evolve. The people we are today aren't the people we'll be in 10 years, and that's the beauty of it. I want to grow alongside you, not away from you. To celebrate your changes, to challenge you when you need it, and to keep finding new ways to fall in love with who you're becoming. I promise to never stop dreaming with you, to keep building things together, ideas, memories, adventures, and maybe even a family, to share the risks and the rewards, the triumphs and the failures. I want our life to be an exploration not just of the world, but of what it means to live with purpose and joy. Because when love and purpose align, everything else finds meaning. I promise to hold on to gratitude, to never take you for granted, to always remember what it means to be loved and to love in return. Gratitude keeps love grounded. It's what turns ordinary moments into something sacred. And I want to live with that awareness every day, thankful for the chance to share this life with someone who believes in the same vision, who sees beyond the surface, who understands that love isn't just a feeling, but a way of being. And above all, I promise to keep choosing you. Not just today, not just when it's easy, but every single day after this one. To choose you in the quiet moments and the chaotic ones, in the joy and the struggle, in the ordinary and the extraordinary. Because that's what love really is, an unending series of choices that, together, create something infinite. So before I get married, I need to say this: I don't take this promise lightly. I understand its weight, and I accept it with a full heart. Because this isn't just a promise to love you, it's a promise to grow with you, to protect what we build, and to never stop believing in the power of what we can create together. And I can think of no greater commitment, no greater honor, and no greater adventure than that.